Today I want to spend some time showing you how to use 3 of the key math apps that the Math Learning Center has created and are free for teachers and students to use in the classroom this year or at home, and they're available any year. So before we do that, I want to show you how you can access these right from the Bridges Educator site. You can go to the Home, Curriculum, or Implementation tab, scroll all the way to the bottom until you get to Free Resources. This takes you to the Math Learning Center resources page, and you can click on Free Apps there. Or you could click on Resources from the Bridges Educator site, scroll down again, but this time it will take you directly to the Math Learning Center virtual manipulatives. And I can click right there, and I can go to the Math Learning Center free apps site. Okay, once you're at this site, I recommend using it in Chrome. Internet Explorer, some of the apps work fine, some of the apps do not work. And I would definitely recommend bookmarking or making this in your a favorite on your web browser. I also want to put a quick shout out for this video right here that explains the latest features of the majority of the apps. It's a 3-minute video that will show you how to use the share feature. Now, I'm also going to demo that in this video. As you scroll down, you see all the apps that are available. I love the GeoBoard app, and all the way at the bottom, the Pattern Shapes app for kindergarten and first grade students. Those apps perhaps you've already seen and explored a bit. There's also this Math Clock app that I think would be a great exploration to add during those number corner months in first grade when we're dabbling with those time concepts. But today, we want to focus on the Number Frames app, the Number Line app, and the Number Rack app. I'm going to open up the Number Frames app, and let's say I am doing an activity with 10 frames with my kindergartners or my first graders, and I'm just going to duplicate and make some additional 10-frame cards. The situation I can envision is perhaps I'm a DL teacher and I do not have the display cards in my classroom. Or perhaps I am a classroom teacher with my students socially distanced, and they are having a hard time seeing the display cards as I flash them. I could pull this up on my Promethean board and use it this way instead. Now, let's say I do not want to use the red or the blue dots. I can click down here in the bottom left corner. I can use different shapes. I can also change my color of the dots. So I'm just going to use black dots, and I'm envisioning a 5 and some more computational fluency activity. Okay, and so I'm just creating some cards to be used with my students. And let's see, maybe this one I want 10 in right away. This one I'll do 10 also, but I'd rather it just be 9, so I'm going to trash that last dot. Maybe, let's see, I don't have one with just all 5, and I think I need one with 8. So I'm going to trash the last 2 dots. Okay, my cards are ready, but I do not want my students, let's say we don't want them to see the cards right away when I open this up. So I'm going to cover each card with a shade, just adjust the size really quickly, and then they will be covered and I can reveal them as we go through the activity. Or this could be an activity as a distance learning teacher. I could send this activity out with directions, obviously, to my students to flash the cards to themselves, and perhaps they have to then interact with the cards, type an equation to go with the card if I'm a first grader, whatever. So these cards could be used in multiple ways. Okay, so I've covered them with my shades and I am ready. But let's say it's the day before my session and I want to save them. My prep period's almost done and I want to save them for tomorrow. So I can go to the share code or the share button, and it's going to create a share code. I'm going to write that down right now, 4782-UXQ3. Now, this would be the code I could share with my students. I could even share it with my PLC. so that perhaps I made the cards for the session, and my colleagues now have access to the cards and they do not need to create the cards themselves. I could also copy a link and share that out. Okay, but now I'm going to close this just to show you that, yep, I can go in the very next day. I open up my web app. Now, I had clicked on this share icon. Now I'm going to click on the key and I'm going to type in that code 4782 UXQ3. And I will open up so that I am ready for the activity today. And there we go. Here's what I created. And my students and I could flash them the cards. I could get rid of the shades if I need to get rid of the shades. Like I said briefly earlier, if it was an asynchronous activity for a first grader, perhaps they would need to type in an equation to match. I just typed on this little equation or this math tool icon down here. I could type, let's see, 5 plus 1 equals 6, and I could click done and I could put that right under. This A, these A's just make it smaller or larger, and then I could go to the next one. I can also do that with the text tool. If I wanted to type it that way, I could do 5 plus 2 equals 7, click done, and add that to the bottom of the next one. Isn't that an awesome feature? And the students could then send it back to you by clicking share. And now, if I'm a student and I've gone through all of the activity, I can then send this share code back to my teacher and it shows my work. This does not affect the original code. The original code and the template that we created is still intact. But now this is a new code that either a student or a teacher has altered. A student could also send a link back, or they could click save image and it could send, they could send a picture back to their teacher. Fascinating. I love this feature. Now let's look at the Number Rack app. The Number Rack app has the same features. And one thing I love to do with the Number Rack app is add multiple strings so that I don't have to have multiple pages open at the top up here. And if I'm going to use it in class, I could create some sort of problem, or I could just, if I feel like it's going to be confusing for the kids to see multiple strands that don't match their physical number racks, I could cover up the additional strands until we need these. And let's say I call out to students, okay, show me 6. And one student shares their way and we discuss it. And then another student could share another way to show 6, or whatever the activity entails. Now, I did use this a week ago to make a first grade video for the lesson Unit 2, Module 3, Session 1, Domino Flash. And here is the code of the cards that I had created. And I can open it up and you can see I have the cards that I had created to go over with the students during the video. I had added problem numbers over here. And so what a great app to use. One thing I do want to point out, all of the Math Learning Center apps, as well as the Bridges digital display materials, have this little eye icon somewhere within the app. This eye is crucial for learning how to use the app or the features of the digital display materials. And you can scroll through. I love this right here. This is where I learned how to use the different features of the different apps. And I'm still learning as we speak. So one last app I want to show you is the Numberline app. And I can set the different type of number line I'd like, my spacing. I can say how I want it to start, and then I click done. But let's say I discovered a code on the Bridges Educator site, which I did. I went to the home page, the resources and support for 2020-2021. I scrolled down to kindergarten, or I clicked on kindergarten and then scrolled down to Number Corner resources for September. And I found this code 1NSMVVHW that the Math Learning Center, the authors of the Bridges instructional materials that we have, they are creating these codes as we speak. And this activity goes with the September number line activity number 3, playing hop and stop. And it's already created for us. Isn't that awesome? In that activity, students call out one of the letters or one of the cards, but they could call out a letter. Let's say they call out E. We reveal the number, and then we hop together. Students stand up either in the classroom or at home. They hop while I hop along the number line, and we see, did we hop to number 4? So 1, 2, 3, 4. And like I say, as they hop, Hap hops along the number line, and we reveal if we got to that number 4. This was created by a teacher like you who's consulting for the Math Learning Center, and it's available and ready for you to use. So exciting. So I encourage you as a PLC or as an individual teacher, check out those 3 apps and see how you can use them to benefit your in-person instruction this year or your distance learning instruction this year.